Do you ever just have those moments where you like, what have I read this month? You know, this month that was me because it took me a minute to go back and remember all the characters' names, and I had to go back to the books and remember who and what was going on. But that's because I had 3 books that I read this month. So, yeah. Welcome back, everyone. This is lovely Shanna Shantae, and today I'm going to be reviewing the 3 books that I've read for the month of April. That's going to be Only for the Week by Natasha Bishop, and I had a 2-book series right now that I had read by Robbi Renee, and that's going to be Somebody's Wife, and then part 2, which is Somebody's Husband. Stick around and watch for my review. So before we get started, there will be a few spoilers. So if you are not into that, then you might want to come back to this review after you have read the books and see if you feel the same way about it. So I'll give you a second to go ahead and leave, and you can come back later. First up is Only for the Week by Natasha Bishop. She changed her cover, so you may see the older cover has the woman close up in her face. She has on pink. This is that same book. I must say I truly enjoyed this book. It's an easy read. So Dr. Janelle Cross is a part of her sister's wedding, but here's where it gets really crazy. Her sister is marrying her ex-boyfriend. She didn't date him too long, but even though she didn't date him long enough, that still to me was just like low down from the beginning. So shortly after Janelle and her ex breaks up, which you'll get to know more about him in the book, her sister dates him, and then they get engaged. Now, Janelle isn't really sweating it. She doesn't really care about it. Their relationship really wasn't that serious for her. She's more interested in the groomsman, which is Rome. Rome is the man that she has been looking at. They've been great friends years ago. And so they're all getting on the plane to go to this destination wedding for her sister and her ex-boyfriend in Tulum, Mexico. And this is where we start to get the name Only for the Week, because Miss Janelle here, she's like, look, I can only deal with you for a week, okay? I can only deal with you for a week. And they're trying to keep it on the low that they're messing around with each other. This book does get spicy, so yes, it does have a lot of spicy scenes in here that you're reading through. I did a bit of some immersive reading with this book. I was listening to the audio book and reading along with it because I thought that this book was really cool. You do get some images throughout the book of like what Tulum looks like. If I can show you something, there's a playlist that goes along with it on Spotify, so which is pretty cool. There's the wedding invitation in the book, so it just helps you like paint the picture of what it looks like while they're there. Like this is the title page right there. I love how they have the text messages going on. You can like see their threads. So like here's some examples there. Because sometimes it feels weird when they're reading it on the audiobook and you're like, and they're pausing. That's why, because they're trying to create this dialogue of a text message through the audiobook. So if you're like me, you like to purchase the book and you like to get the book on an audiobook, what I do a lot of times is if I'm not paying for both of them, if I just want to see if the book is good, I'll either get the ebook online through an app like Hoopla or Cloud Library or Libby, and then try it out there. And so I love this book so much that I think after like day 2 of going through the audiobook, I said, okay, I gotta purchase this. I need to get this book. So that's pretty much what Only for the Week is about. Her venturing into getting to know Rome a little bit more in a sexual way. But at the same time, Janelle puts herself before, well, Janelle is always put before other people. Let me say that. She would put other people before herself. And it talks a lot about that in this book. And it's like choosing yourself and choosing what you want and what makes you happy plays a lot in this book, especially with her relationship with her mom and her sister, who to me are one and the same. And it's like, how dare you treat her, Janelle, like this? And she's always doing everything she can for you. But at the same time, you're jealous of her because you don't have your stuff together. I'm going to leave it at that. You read the book and you tell me what you think about this, because I truly loved it and I understand why this book is so popular. This book I need to purchase. It is Somebody's Wife by Robbi Renee. Oh my goodness. When I say, if I had a book, a physical book, I would be flipping through those pages left and right. This was so good. The audio book, for my ladies who like Jacoby, you know. So this book introduces us to Dr. Gemma Holliday and Dr. Ezekiel Green, or Zeke, should we call him. And Gemma is in this quote unquote, and I say that loosely, perfect marriage that isn't very perfect at all. She and her husband have not really connected that much for a few years now. And she's really unhappy. On the surface, she looks like she has like everything together. She's got the husband, she has her daughter, all of those things. She tries to put on for that. However, we know when you read the book, or if you listen to the audiobook, you will quickly see that everything is not as great as what it seems. And she's been trying to put on this whole face for like her job and everything, and with her husband in public. So Dr. Ezekiel Green is coming into town, and they're at a business party, and so he sees Gemma there. And then from there, it's just like his love for her just sparks right then and there. That's what I feel like. I feel like he fell in love with her, love at first sight with her. Although he knows that she is married. So he's like, well, dang, what am I going to do? You know, all of this, that, and the third. I really don't want to tell this book because it's so good. And there's so much that happens that, baby, let's just say Gemma was better than me, because these folks would have got hurt playing with me. That's all I'm going to say. But her husband is a piece of work. But that man Zeke, if I could get a man that's like Zeke, please send him to me, because that's a good man, Savannah. That's a good man. And to have the voice by Jacoby, chef kiss. Great book from beginning to end. I didn't want it to stop. Again, I have to purchase it. I had it on audiobook, and I need this book in my library at home. So the last book that I read this month was Part 2, Somebody's Husband by Robbi Renee. Now this one is taking a different spin. I almost feel like these people are crossing paths with each other at some point. If she makes a third book, I would like to see them at some point cross paths. So the characters here, we have Dresden, Dr. Dresden, and we also have Harper. So they're at the hospital in Monroe, because I always get these places confused. And I forgot to mention that in Somebody's Wife, they're at the university. So, I mean, that's why I say they have to be crossing paths, or they work in different departments from each other. These people have to know each other. Book 3, can we get that, please, Robbi Renee? Make them cross paths at some point. But anyway, all right, so Dr. Dresden is a widower. He has twin daughters from his previous marriage. His wife died of ovarian cancer, and he's been single ever since. We have him in the scene. He's coming there to work and to do some different tests on other patients for this kind of like this little studies, try to do some research on them and find, try to see if they can find some cures or things like that. On the other hand, we have Harper, she's she's divorced, but Dresden doesn't know that in the very beginning of the book that she's divorced, because she still lives with her husband. She has 2 sons, and her husband also has cancer, and he's going through a really tough time there. So she's trying to work and be a mom and tend to her ex-husband because, you know, they were great friends. So she didn't want to just leave him hanging like that. However, Dresden sees her, and he's just so intrigued. One day they have their class. So she walks into class, and he he's in the middle of a lecture, and he pretty much kind of stumbles over his words and almost forgets what he's talking about. And it's like, okay, I'm really into this woman, but I just found out like she's, you know, she might be married or whatever. Correction, I need to correct myself. So Harper also is attracted to Dresden, and she sees him wearing a ring, and she's like, oh, he's married, so that's somebody's husband. I don't know why I'm really attracted to this man like that. I really like him, and then we're going to be working together. But he's married, so I can't pursue him like that. So Harper's ex-husband, who has cancer, she basically asked him to do the clinical research with Dr. Dresden and others. Now, a lot of it is anonymous, so she won't get to know certain things. However, eventually she can put the pieces together with the patients. However, I don't think she's necessarily supposed to just do that. So Dresden is interviewing and talking to Harper's ex-husband, and her ex-husband definitely notices how she has been acting ever since she says his name. He knows that she's attracted to him, and I think it's very sweet that her ex-husband actually hints to Dr. Dresden, you know, little tidbits about Harper. And in other words, like one day he knows he's not going to be there, right? He's going to die because his cancer has gotten so bad, and he would probably be the perfect match for her. And he knows that, although it's killing him to even admit it or to even feel that way, he knows he has to hint at something so that Dr. Dresden gets the point. And I think he pretty much picks up on what he's talking about. But throughout the book, again, I had it on audiobook and I had the ebook, so it was really fun to just go back in and look at the text as we go through this book. So Robbi Renee is a new author for me. I am going to go back and purchase these because I love books like these. Like, I did not want this story to end either. It was very heartfelt, especially if you've had someone in your family that has had cancer before. That part can be very hard on a family. And so I really felt like these were real people who were going through stuff, and they found love throughout that trauma, throughout what was going on both sides. He had lost his wife, and he was still mourning her death. She is about to lose her ex-husband, her best friend. And what that means after this, she doesn't know. And that's a lot to process. So 10 out of 10 recommend. These were some really great books. If you have some favorite parts from these books that I reviewed today, please let me know what you enjoyed in the comments below. Until then, bye.